Good evening, everybody. It is Steve with Real Progressives, and tonight is going to be just a special moment. I'm going to talk to you all about something that's very important. An article came out earlier today where Congress is looking to try to make veterans pay for their GI Bill. Veterans. That's right, I said veterans having to pay for their GI Bill. And, for those of you who don't understand, what a tragedy this is, the idea that veterans would in any way, shape, or form have to pay for their GI Bill is preposterous. And yet that's exactly what Congress is putting forward to make veterans pay for their GI Bill. Now, how many of you were actually serving in the military or have served in the military, etc.? Most of you didn't join the military just in some noble effort to serve in some foreign war. Joined the military in an attempt to, get to college or get some skill or get some, discipline or access to health care, whatever it is. There was some reason you joined the military that probably didn't have anything to do, most likely have anything to do, with some bizarre, strange urge to kill people. Hello, Ron. So with that in mind, I want to talk to you all about this because there's going to be more and more and more austerity that makes its way into the fold as the Trump administration press forward, as the Paul Ryans of the world have more access, and as the Koch brothers, quite frankly, push for their agenda as well. Continually, everywhere you look, will be people that are trying to wave the banner for, cutting spending, reducing costs, reducing deficits, etc. And this is yet just one more area where we are going to once again take the approach that we have to somehow or another put the onus of these GI Bills onto the people that are in the military. Now, I know that most of us have no interest whatsoever in praising or lifting up the military. Unfortunately, far too many reactionaries on the left, just baby with the bathwater approach to everything. That's a damn shame. It's a goddamn shame, actually, because you can't have logical conversations with people that have a baby with the bathwater approach to life. But there we are right now, people just arbitrarily saying that we should cut this and we should cut that, thinking somehow or another that the federal government needs to find money to pay for things. A government that creates its own money now suddenly has to find money for things, okay? Now, the problem is, let's be fair, most of the military is not just bombs and stuff like that. The way that the people that architected our military-industrial complex were pretty crafty folks, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective. And they literally put pieces of the military-industrial complex into every single neighborhood around the country. And quite frankly, they've even put it around the world. A lot of the manufacturing, a lot of the jobs, a lot of the consulting, you name it. They have strategically put it everywhere so that if you try to cut, it's not like you're stopping bombs from being made. What will most likely be cut are those ancillary consulting jobs and so forth that so many of our neighbors are working for. And that's just the sad truth. They have insulated the concept of the military from real drastic cuts with very, very stealth means of placing the production into every community. And you hear them talking about eliminating Air Force bases or military Army bases or whatever. And you can tell the areas that they're in, the people are freaking out because it is largely the sole job producer for that area. And so they've been very, very slick in doing this. So why now all of a sudden are they considering trying to make these veterans pay for their benefits? This is a great question. It's only a question that we can answer by understanding the fetishizing of debt. Our nation still continues to believe that our federal government is like our household budget. We don't understand the ramifications of the things we say. We say things. We do a lot of this without a lot of understanding. And so as you watch individuals that are, if you look around, go to the want ads in the Washington, D.C. area, for example, and you will see contract after contract after contract job, really, really good paying jobs for regular people, not the rich, regular people that have gone to school or whatever. They're not entry-level jobs for sure, to be fair, but they are jobs nonetheless that are most likely your neighbors. So they've strategically built in this buffer. So why in the world do we continue to sit there and look for cuts to afford to pay for things? What is the point in doing that? And I guess the question to our lefty friends is an understanding what the makeup of the military is. What exactly is the military, and where exactly does the spending itself go? And what happens when you do cut, right? Now, make no mistake about it, I am completely against war. 1,000% against war, to the point where it's like an overarching purpose in my life is to get our country to cease using war as our primary foreign policy tool. And yet at the same time, though, it's very important that we understand the interplay of government spending, of the jobs that are currently in play, of the careers that millions of our family and our neighbors currently have employment through. And those jobs don't exist elsewhere. The government has strategically used the military as our, hey, we can stop high unemployment by bringing in lots and lots of people into the military. But the military does an awful lot of things beyond just blowing up, people out there in the Middle East and running coups in Honduras and all the other stuff. Military is tons and tons and tons of jobs. And yeah, 20% is hardware, 80% is people. And again, I say this to you because it is always, yes, Aaron, it has always been the employer of last resort. And we don't think about it like that because, quite frankly, we've got built-in biases. We've got a political mind that doesn't allow us to consider the economic ramifications of what they have done. It may sound great to cut the military, but remember 80%, literally, is you and me and your neighbors, etc. So this brings me to the next point, and that is the federal job guarantee. Now, Real Progressives has had Pavlina Tcherneva, we've had Ellis Winningham, we've had Joe Firestone, we've had Randall Wray, we've had Warren Mosler, we've had a host of people come onto this show, Fidel Kaboub, Stephen Hale, you name it, talking to us about the federal job guarantee. And of course, sadly, and you're going to see the conflict here in a moment, the very, very people on the left that claim they want to cut the military, are the same bombastic people oftentimes that have some sort of a weird bias against a federal job guarantee. I kid you not. They have a weird bias that prevents them from understanding how important an employer of last resort is to our economy and to the functioning of our nation. So we want to cut the military and we want to slash it 50%. But damn it, we can't have a federal job guarantee, guys, because that's Calvinistic. That's helping out the man. That's just forcing people to work, and that's not right. That's just not right. Do you see any problems yet with this nonsensical angle that many of our friends and brothers and sisters within the progressive community don't get? So you want to cut the military where 80% is people, and yet you have some Woodrow Wilson, Woody Hard-on for blocking a federal job guarantee because you've got some insatiable urge to worry about robots and provide an inflationary status quo basic income instead of a job guarantee. That's pathetic. And the thing is, and this might be the worst part of it, rather than asking questions, rather than learning, rather than choosing to figure out how we can in fact cut the military, they would rather just say no. They would rather speak out of their ignorance than learn to be a part of the solution. That should frighten everyone. You want to build a movement? You want to actually do some impact to the military? You want to keep people eating, housed, healthy, whole? You want to provide them with a job guarantee and health care and all that stuff? Well, then you've got to focus on a federal job guarantee. Now, I've heard different versions of this, so we're all on the same page. There is no one-size-fits-all on how the federal job guarantee can be implemented. Many MMTers have very different perspectives. Some have a lower wage in mind, some have a much higher wage in mind, but all of them gun for a living wage. So what is it with the left, in particular the left, that they refuse to think about the federal job guarantee? Why is it that they choose to say ick to that, but yet they want to cut an employer like the military? Now, mind you, I'm not against this. I'm just putting it out there so we all understand. It's like a 20-80 split with people and hardware. So if that's the case, why in the world do they stand against a federal job guarantee with benefits and a living wage? It's pretty hard to take people seriously that fight against a federal job guarantee. It's pretty hard to take them seriously when they consider themselves to be leaders. When they want to lead people and they want to tell people, hey, we've got to do this action. Fist in the air, we've got to do this action. We've got to stand up for the 99%. But we're against a federal job guarantee, and we want to cut the military, which is 80-20 people over machines. Why do you suppose the left sees economics as like poison ivy? Why do you think the left, our movement, is so allergic to learning things? Why do you think they don't understand exactly macroeconomics and microeconomics? In other words, household finances versus a monetarily sovereign government that can spend on its public purpose. Why do you suppose our movement would rather just burn it to the ground than learn how to fix it? Why do you suppose our movement would rather all the death and destruction that comes from burning it down rather than learning how to fix it? I'm just baffled. And here you have the Pete Peterson Foundation talking about fixing the debt, fanning the flames, fanning the fears of debt. And that's why, my friends, that's why you have anyone talking about making GIs earn and pay for their GI Bill. If you don't understand the federal job guarantee, ask. Don't tell somebody what you think it is. Don't tell somebody who's trying, obviously don't know what it is. Federal job guarantee is not make work. No matter which book you read from, it's not make work. The federal job guarantee allows local communities to determine the needs of the community and administer a federally funded program locally. So we're appeasing the 10thers, we're appeasing the Green Party 835ers, and we're appeasing regular people who can self-actualize by doing something that benefits the public purpose in their local communities. So why in the world would somebody who's for the basic income literally tell a fucking lie about what the job guarantee is? Why would they lie? Why would they tell us about robots coming? How can robots come and take away self-actualization? Bueller. It can't. And so this is where I go full-blown apoplectic against the UBI folks, because I find their lack of curiosity, I find their lack of intellectual honesty appalling. It's utterly appalling. Now, hypothetically, let's say that our families, I don't know, just let's say your local community decided that it was more important that you stay home with your child and raise your child and take care of them, or your sick grandmother, than it was that you go push paper from left to right. What if your local community determined that it was more important that parents get compensated for volunteering or whatever for student field trips, or participated in local art programs or local music programs? Well, music and art, they're one and the same in my book, but whatever. What if human beings were able to do activism and get paid for it as long as it was serving the public purpose? What if you could actually do these things, whether or not the losers want to tell you it's not? Our federal government is monetarily sovereign. It is the monopoly issuer of the federal dollar. So we can literally do this. And instead of looking at jobs like, well, is that a profitable job? Who's going to make them be profitable in their job? Instead of going that route, why don't we say, hey, did the kids enjoy the lesson? Did something good come from this? Is the public benefiting from this? What if, hypothetically, we decided to invest massive amounts of money into rebuilding our entire infrastructure? You know what, Ryan? You're in the wrong spot, brother. We got this bullshit book right here. We've already gone down the Ron Paul loser version of the world. We're not going to do it right now, brother. Sorry, man. Sorry, we're smart people here. We don't do loser stuff. I'm not here to talk about stupid shit. We've already got this. So we're going to go ahead and deal with reality, and we're going to skip the bullshit conspiracies. We're going to do that for you, man. We're going to hook you up with some truth instead of your Alex Jones version of reality. We're going to stick with the truth. Right here, brother. No more of this crap. No more. Done with it. We're going to start saving lives and just stop dealing with bullshit from nonsensical freaking conspiracy theorists that want to sit there and draw the ugly Jew with the long fingers and the big nose straight out of Leni Riefenstahl and the Nazi propaganda machine. Yeah, the evil Jews. I hate watching these people do this crap. It makes me sick to my stomach to see these freaking bigots get away with being anti-Semitic and evil as shit, while at the same time passing it off as, we're just worrying about the Federal Reserve. That's what we're doing. It's just the Federal Reserve. Fuck you and your bigotry. So go away, skedaddle with the cattle prod. All right? Back at the ranch. Our government is monetarily sovereign. The Federal Reserve is a creature, not of Jekyll Isle, but of Congress. Okay? So if you don't understand the machinations of the Federal Reserve, I invite you to remove the cotton from your ears, place it firmly in your mouth, and listen, because we can walk through this. Got it? All right, good to go. Only decent reality-based talk here. No more bullshit. All right? Let's get along. Let's deal with truth. All right. So if you think about this, look at Flint, Michigan. And this is going to play even more so when you think about how many poor people go and die in rich man's wars. How many poor people go to die in rich man's wars? Because our employer of last resort is the military. Why can we not provide an employer of last resort for all Americans? Now, Bill Mitchell and others would call this a buffer stock of employed workers ready to be reabsorbed into the private sector as private sector work becomes available. People would move off the job guarantee and onto the job guarantee depending upon the swings in the economy at any given time. But I would like to suggest that there's even more robust ways of looking at this. I may determine in my heart of hearts that I can lead a moderate, meager, existence based on not a whole lot of money, but a living wage, and be able to live out my dream as an activist or whatever. And that may be good enough, and I may want to stay there. The program is completely voluntary, so there's no issue of forcing people. You're free to seek public work or private work, whatever. But here's the kicker. Why in the world would somebody go to a company that cannot meet or beat the job guarantee's benefit package? Now think about the benefits that the military gives soldiers. Housing, healthcare, education, food, all kinds of benefits, right? Vision, you name it. They provide all kinds of benefits. Why is it that we can't provide that as a federal job guarantee for all Americans? Think about that for a minute. Why not? If you think that all the work in America that there is to do is quote unquote profitable work, well, you're missing the forest for the trees. Let me tell you something about profit. Return on investment is an evil metric that many companies use to ensure that the work that they're doing, is going to turn back profit for the company. It's a responsible metric for a corporation to follow. However, many corporations have an extremely aggressive ROI model. They may demand that they have a return on investment within 18 months. It may say a year. It might be 2 years. It might be whatever. But the bottom line is that leaves an awful lot of work from being done because it's not profitable in a time period that the corporation feels is worth doing. So consider that on the pharmaceutical side. How many vaccines, sorry folks, I know many don't like vaccines, but how many vaccines or how many medications that are life-saving never get explored or released to the public because they're not profitable? They're not profitable. Our federal government has the ability to take research and development and all these things and roll it up into the public sector. Frees up an awful lot of space for even more employment. It frees up an awful lot of space to serve the public purpose of our local communities. And this brings me back to the job guarantee. I look around my community and I see so many things that are left undone. So many buildings falling apart with friggin' plywood up on the windows. So many areas where you know damn well there's public service projects that are out there going undone because they lack the money. But we don't lack money, do we? Money is the one thing we don't lack. What we do lack is resources. But we have an artificial scarcity of dollars because of old Uncle Milton Friedman, Uncle Milty, and his belief that we have to control the amount of dollars in circulation. So he stopped fiscal spending, pushed it to monetary policy, and has had us stuck in neoliberal hell for 40 years. We're offering the antithesis to that through a federal job guarantee. It stops kids having to trade their life for a start at life. It trades away communities like Flint, Michigan, where the people are literally stuck with shitty water. And they're now trapped in that community because there's no work, they can't afford anything, so they can't migrate away. They can't leave the state, they can't leave the area because that's all they got, that's all they know. But with a federal job guarantee, guess what they could do immediately? Not only would tax revenue for the state go up because of employment, but the federal government could even fully fund some of these high-risk areas. Could fully fund all the states, quite frankly, but let's just be real, and talk about the ones that are in heavy burden right now. We could completely revitalize an area like Flint, Michigan, with a federal job guarantee, with an infrastructure bill. But instead, we end up fighting about all the symptoms. We want to fight about the symptoms of poverty. We want to fight about the symptoms of war. We want to fight about the symptoms of climate change. We want to fight about all the symptoms of an electoral system that doesn't work properly. We want to fight about anything but going to the core problem, the root problem. And it's not the Rothschilds. And it's not just greed. To quote Bernie Sanders, the system's rigged. And it is. And it's time for us to unrig it by absolutely pegging our nation to labor, by putting the value to labor and forcing the private sector to meet or beat what the federal job guarantee can offer. The standard of living would shoot through the roof. Involuntary unemployment would be forever ended. This is the stuff that I want to fight for while everyone else is distracted. While everybody else chases the next shiny horse, the next shiny object, the next current event, the next stupid tweet by Donald Trump, the next show us your taxes march, the next stupid establishment, fake resistance distraction. I want to fight while everybody's running crazy about stupid shit. I want to fight for all these priorities. Because if we solve green energy and we invest in it, if we solve labor and we invest in it, if we solve infrastructure and we invest in it, why would we go to war for oil if we've got it solved with renewable energy. Last check I had, the sun's pretty frickin' bright. The wind is pretty windy, and the waters are running. We can desalinate so much water and provide water, good, clean drinking water, to so many people. We can use hydrothermal technologies to do so much. This is all stuff that is right there that the earth provides us today. And there are great technologies out there that can capture those things. But we're not doing it. And that's tons of work, tons of jobs. But people would rather go out there in mass and protest Donald Trump's tax returns. Now, I would be happy to sit there and debate a mass movement for Donald Trump's tax returns is more important than the things I just said. I'd gladly go toe-to-toe with them. I can't guarantee I wouldn't spend most of the time shaming them as harshly as I could. But I would get my shots in with merit about the things I just stated. I'm tired of people flailing about, whining about wars, when the wars are happening because people are trying to control the flow of oil. They're trying to control resources, natural resources around the world based on old, antiquated crap that we could easily get away from or begin to get away from. I think we could do it really quickly, quite frankly, if we stop pretending like our nation is in debt and that we can't afford things. If we get off the idea of taxes funding spending, we could get to real problem solving. If we stopped worrying about phony budgets that we never hold to and instead implemented an inflation constraint, not a budget constraint, we might be able to do miraculous things. We could save species of animals. We could save our environment. We could provide our children with a country that can sustain life, a world that can sustain life, and oceans that sustain life. But instead, people just want to cut the military. Forget solutions, man. I just want to slash and burn. Forget a job guarantee. The robots are coming. Forget spending money. What about the Rothschilds? Every single step along the way, these putzes have a roadblock to throw in front of the very, very necessary things that we need to do to make life bearable. Single payer, forget it. I want to see healthcare as a right, period. Not just single payer. I want to see it as a right. I don't even want to hear about a bill. I don't want to carry student loan debt. If you want me to advance the purposes of the United States of America and do something useful for mankind and serve the public purpose, then help me get educated. Why do I have to carry a ball and chain around my neck to do that? Let people rise to their natural level, whatever that is, but don't artificially block them from meeting that by making it financially impossible to do. If people choose to not want to do things, that's called freedom. Making it impossible to afford, well, that's called the system's rigged. That's called artificial scarcity. And that's not public purpose. That's capitalism run amok. That's neoliberalism at its finest. That's Ayn Rand and the makers and takers. A federal job guarantee, folks, is the key to getting income inequality in this nation solved. It is the key to eliminating the vast majority of the military-industrial complex's far empirical reaches by making it so that people have a choice outside of the military. And by taking away the fossil fuel needs by going to green energy, we literally eliminate 9/10 of the frickin' wars around the world. Guys, I just don't understand the left. You know, I consider myself a real progressive. I consider what I'm talking about to be the true north of what we say we're fighting for. But yet at the same time, I see people intellectually dishonest telling us that we don't need a federal job guarantee. We need a basic income. Not realizing because they don't understand economics. And I would say it's shameful, but I think the fact that they don't investigate the job guarantee is even more shameful than their lack of understanding of economics. But the job guarantee is not inflationary. The UBI is status quo. It's a basic income to the capitalists and the rentier class. Job guarantee sets the bar. You can no longer fuck with the workers of America. You can no longer threaten destitution. People will survive. People can survive. Even if it is on a lesser level, people will be able to survive. They won't have the fear of death hanging over them anymore. But they want to go ahead and they want to fight a multi-front war. Got to raise taxes. How are we going to pay for it? Got to raise taxes. I don't care how many people die, damn it. We got to soak the rich today. What, taxes don't fund spending? Well, you must be some ultra right-winger. Yes, you must be some ultra right-winger. Give you the stink eye of ages. Bottom line, if you want to change the wars, you want to worry about dropping the mother of all bombs, you want to worry about why we're in these places, folks. Let's lift the bottom up. Let's give all Americans the right, not just access, but the right to pursue a job of their choosing in their local communities and have a federal job guarantee with the full suite of benefits, from family medical leave paid to absolutely have vacation built in there, paid vacation, to medical care, vision care, dental care, and then let these private sector suckers meet or beat that. Now, the good news is the economy will be booming. The bad news for the upper class, the wealth, is that the income gap is going to collapse. Why is that? Because so much of the poor have to go in debt with high interest rate payday loans, you name it, to survive. Just to survive. And then what happens? Then they have to pay the 50% interest on this money they took out. And they're forever in that black hole death spiral, never able to get out of it. And that's how the wealthy keep getting wealthier, is collecting. If you don't need those things because you have a guaranteed job, well, all of a sudden, a whole lot of corruption is going to go away also, isn't it? If you're not into solutions, please don't tell me you're a progressive anymore. Please don't tell me you're a progressive. If all you want to do is fight about Band-Aids, if all you want to do is talk about Trump's tax returns, do not call yourself a progressive ever again. Don't. Progressives are solution-minded people. and they are fearless and thorough in reading and learning. They do not sit there and just shit on an idea as vital as a federal job guarantee. And they certainly don't talk economics if they don't understand it. They ask questions. They don't bloviate about the Federal Reserve. They don't bloviate about things they don't understand. They ask questions because the goal of a progressive is to learn and be right so that they can fix the real problems. We need a New Deal now. Right now. As in now. And that starts, in my opinion, with a federal job guarantee. Eradicate poverty, eradicate involuntary unemployment, and go from there. So with that, I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m., I will have Nick Branya of Draft Bernie on with me. We are going to be talking about the real reasons why Draft Bernie exists. We're going to be talking about what the conflation is within the movement and the issues that people say it's about versus what it actually is about. Then we're going to talk about a little bit about economics as well, because most people are starting to wake up. Not enough, but many. And they realize that economics is key to making the shit work. And with Steve with Real Progressives, have a good night, everyone.